George Bush, his billionaire and multi-millionaire buddies.
Our hundreds of performers, our many special guests and viewers from coast to coast. 1, 2, 3. And now, as a prelude to our grand opening.
Improvement on the ground and the displacement of community resources and the destruction of the global neighborhood life. And they enable the refusal of the authorities of their behind the ground.
And John, having done so much for this city, and thank you all for the privilege of attending this marvelous Ameriflora
2:30 in the Americana Pavilion, and I'll just be walking around Ameriflora, greeting people. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone from Columbus. I've met dignitaries from Japan, from Germany, and all over the state of Ohio and all over the country, and I'm looking forward to meeting those people and performing later on during the day.
Ameriflora 92, America's celebration of discovery. According to the news release fact sheet, Ameriflora is a 6-month expo which will feature international and domestic exhibits, multimedia attractions, live entertainment, international cuisine in more than 7 themed restaurants, and shopping opportunities at several international bazaars. Ameriflora, the $95 million project, is set amidst 88 acres of lavish gardens, which claims to be the same size as Disneyland's Magic Kingdom in California and larger than the 1982 Knoxville World's Fair. A tour of the Community of Nations will bring you face-to-face with more than 12 countries of the world and showcases the best of each country's culture, gardens, and people. There will be more than 50,000 entertainers in all performing over the 6 months of Ameriflora 92. The Franklin Park Conservatory will be completely renovated and expanded. The 70,000 square foot complex will offer visitors a tour of 7 different climates of the world and a striking variety of plant forms, waterfalls, clouds and foliage, and more. From a tropical rainforest to an arid desert, the Franklin Park Conservatory will be the highlight of Ameriflora 92. With ticket prices being $19.95 for adults and $9.95 for children, Ameriflora expected 4 million visitors to find the largest quin-centennial celebration in the United States to be an experience of a lifetime. President George Bush and his wife Barbara were invited to the grand opening day. Over 200 media types came from all over the Midwest part of the country to cover the ceremonies. Event coverage for this day began at 7:30 in the morning in the rain for a briefing. After the grounds were open, the media was escorted to a section off to the side of the Franklin Park Conservatory. The Secret Service checked our social security numbers, searched our equipment, and made us walk through a metal detector. After being cleared, we were allowed to take our places to cover the president's arrival. Pre-opening entertainment included the United States Air Force Jazz Band, the Ohio State University Marching Band, and others. After remarks from John Wolfe, the president of the Ameriflora Board of Trustees, Governor George Voinovich presented Bob Hope. After some brief comments, Bob Hope introduced President George Bush.
Well, I'm happy to be here with all the Buckeyes, I'll tell you that. This is my home state, Ohio. I'm from Cleveland. And I'll tell you, I'm happy about that. And I love Columbus, too, because my brother had a meat business here. And I used to come down here and deliver for him once in a while. But it's great to be here. And it's my thrill, ladies and gentlemen, to present right now the President of the United States, right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Bush.
Bob, thank you very much. And Barbara and I are just delighted to be here. And of course, delighted to be with our admired and respected friend, Bob Hope. May I salute our Governor, George Voinovich, Lieutenant Governor Mike Devine, Senator Glenn, Mayor Lashutka of Columbus, Dorothy and Bob Teeter, Dick and Pam Frank, and of course, the one you heard from earlier, Mr. John Wolfe and his wife Ann John, having done so much for this city. And thank you all for the privilege of attending this marvelous Ameriflora 92. America's celebration of discovery. And it's great to be back in Columbus, this wonderful city where my dad was born and grew up. And first, I appreciate the brevity of the Bob Hope introduction. Bob was telling me about Columbus's discovery of America. We're talking a little history. He was saying that one result of Columbus's voyage was the trade that first introduced broccoli to the Europeans. And they've been our friends ever since, anyway.
I guess over the 3 or 4 years, a number of individuals and groups got involved as the needs changed, as the scope changed. Originally, the event was to take place in a number of different locations, and as it got centered on one 88-acre park and the opportunity for international participation, exposition-style entertainment and show product, a number of different groups and individuals joined the team, if you will. Really under the direction of a group called Management Resources, who had a fairly extensive background in major exposition and theme park work. And
so who hired Management Resources?
The board of directors of Ameriflora 92.
Who started the board of directors, I guess?
I guess originally, right back from the original start of the event, it consisted of some major names and corporations in the city, such as Bank One and Huntington Bank and Kroger, the dispatch companies, organizations, Nationwide Insurance, a series of organizations like that got behind the event as guarantors and underwriters, and in many cases their chief officers of those companies became board members, and that board's been fairly much intact since the very start.
So corporations that were important in the city
Correct.
Came together and formed a board of directors.
Yeah, wanted to see this kind of event happen here, and gave the event its backing and support, and board, in fact, to see that through over about 10 years.
We didn't get a sign, you know. We're not represented. Our representation isn't adequate. We have Iroquois Longhouse. It isn't ready. It isn't open because of the time span that they gave us to do this. Rome wasn't built in a day, and so we are not ready. And I'm going to have to say that I'm a little embarrassed of not being represented with the President of the United States coming to my land.
of discovery forged America. For Christopher Columbus believed the mariner must, in his words, probe the secrets of the world. So the son of Genevieve Weaver took that first step in a trek that ultimately produced the United States of America. In saluting his quin-centennial, we salute how freedom's ship has sailed to every corner of the earth. And we Americans celebrate discovery because we're never satisfied, because we are ever romancing the next horizon. And that is why this beautiful sculpture here in front of us reminds us of the sails of the Nina, Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and why, too, a full-size replica of the Santa Maria graces the Scioto River.
We remember the war. We remember what happened to the poor Kurds. We know that 75,000 Iraqi children died after the water and sewage system was bombed. We know in the blink of an eye George Bush could spend $60 billion on killing people in the third world, but he can't do anything to house American citizens. 12% of them veterans suffering post-traumatic stress disorder from the Vietnam War. He's going to send $12 billion to the Soviet Union. What is he going to do for the American veterans that are sleeping on the street? Nothing. He sent them from the front lines in Iraq to the unemployment lines here. And now he's getting a photo op. He's done nothing for the American people. Nothing. George Herbert Hoover Bush.
It's about a $95 million event. 30 million of that is from public sources. It's a combination of federal, state, county, and city funds. The $30 million was designated to be spent on non-operational expenses. It had to be spent on capital investment, if you will. So all of the public funds have gone into those elements that stay in this park forever. For example, the conservatory, which remains forever. A major part of that money went to expand and renovate the old conservatory. The International Amphitheater, the Davis Center, the Children's Performing Arts Center, all the waterways and lagoons, all of the underground utilities, all of the park enhancements that last long beyond 1992, that's where those funds have all been spent. In addition to the 30, the event itself added about another 17. So the legacy of Ameriflora 92 is some $47 million that actually stays in Franklin Park forever and in the city of Columbus, which in my experience in these events is unheard of. That unto itself is a very unique feature of this event, to leave that kind of legacy forever.
So the rest of the 95 came from?
Combination of gate revenues, corporate sponsorship, concessions, disposable assets. We're now about, here we are, 14 days from closing. There's a tremendous amount in this park that will now be disposed of. From small things like park benches to big things like the whole Discovery Pavilion, for instance, gets dismantled and sold. So those assets, of course, will all be sold off. That's part of the revenue as well. And of course, the corporate underwriting and guarantors. Those sources all make up the balance of the $95 million.
Here in the largest city in the world, bearing the explorer's name, we honor Columbus for the same reason as people in Peoria or Prague. We believe that the individual can make a difference, and that human dignity can indeed change the world. And most of all, we know that dignity stems from values like hard work and self-reliance and faith. In 1492, those values sustained Columbus's voyage. In 1992, they must sustain our voyage to do right and thus achieve good. Today, our world is smaller, faster than in Columbus's time. Our fates at home linked to those abroad. And yet we need to keep these values in our hearts and in our minds. And Columbus sought a new world. The values I refer to can help create a new world order. Already, we see the outlines of a new world economy. Over the next week, I'm going to be talking about this economy and how it can grow in the decades ahead. We need, as President Nixon once said, an open world, open cities, open hearts, open minds. And only then can we not merely trade with other nations, but profit from other nations, profit economically, intellectually, culturally, and spiritually.
What are you doing here at Ameriflora today?
Well, as Miss Columbus, I've been an ambassador for the city of Columbus, primarily representing the 1992 celebration and all the activities surrounding the quin-centennial celebration. I started out christening the Santa Maria, and I'm here today because Ameriflora is one of the biggest celebrations that we're having during 1992, and it's the centerpiece for the country as far as our celebrations.
I explained to him, who this man Columbus was, and he was a murderer. He was a drunk, lost sailor, That's no one to praise to emulate, to spend millions of dollars celebrating, That's the whole discovery theme, is such a slap in the face, I said, you can have a flower show. You have nothing against flowers. Flowers are beautiful. They're my relatives. They're created by God, But when you do it all in the name of discovery, Columbus, you can't do that. You have to stop somewhere.
Nuclear bombs detonated on western Shoshone land without permission!
The reason why we're not ready, we didn't have enough time. This is, say we only had about 19 days to put this up. And we will get it up though. We'll have to work after dark, after everybody leaves. We'll come back in and try and get this thing in order. And hopefully we'll have 8 people that will represent the Iroquois and Last of the Mohegan, a picture that is going to be published in June. And they're going to be dressed like the movie. And we're here to educate, not humiliate.
the original plans were to have like a working village, and the group from New York were going to bring people in, you know, and they would be doing crafts, cooking, and it would just look like an actual site. But the money, you know, the funding was not available for it, you know.
So who paid to have the Longhouse built?
So Ameriflora helped to have the building done.
Are they your employer then?
No, not for the gift. Now the gift shop is my husband and I. They asked us to put the gift shop in afterwards, after the building. You know, at one point we weren't even going to have anything but just the exhibit with the pictures on the wall. But then they felt that the gift shop would add to the exhibit more. Originally, when it opened, there wasn't a gift shop here at all. It was just a...
So is that why it was closed so long?
Yeah. Well, the building was open probably about a month before the gift shop was put in.
Oh, yes.
Afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, it was closed for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, so approximately when did you come and open the gift shop?
We opened it Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
When the field house in this park was taken over and redone for this event, Part of that $17 million, if you will, went to rebuild a new athletic facility over in Academy Park, which again is a long-term legacy of the event.
Do you know how much is coming back of that? You know, the people that lost their neighborhood park, can they expect to get back their basketball hoops and some of the things that brought
we're now operating under what is called the residual plan, which is the city's contract with this event, which was negotiated a number of years ago when the event was, when it was agreed between the event organizers and the city to put it in this park. The residual plan basically calls for the park to go back to what it was before, with the additions of those facilities that remain. And that's what this event will do. This event, starting on October 13th, will dismantle and remove all of those elements that are part of that plan. And as soon as that's done, and it will take some months to do that, the park goes back to the City of Columbus, goes back to the Recreation Parks Department as a city park, greatly enhanced. But
and so they will pay to put up the basketball hoops and stuff? I mean, who does that stuff? Is that
Parks and Recs. I mean, Parks and Recs, the City of Columbus gets the park back. What they have to add to it, I'm not sure. Our plan is simply basically to take out a lot of the things that are here and dismantle and remove and put the park back in as it was.
In Columbus's day, commerce meant gold and trinkets. In our day, commerce means the exchange of goods and ideas that foster free markets, free governments, and ultimately freedom itself. And that is why America must always be ready to compete. By investing more in research and development, investing more in new technology, investing more in education, we're Americans. Performance is our name. So as we concede what's changed in the world, let's prove what has not changed. America can still outwork and outproduce and outcompete any nation anywhere.
I wondered if you could tell us, when we were back by the media, in the media area, we saw you just before President Bush came out, and then you were gone, you and your son. I wonder if you could tell us what happened.
I'd rather not. Okay. I don't think it's fair, in a sense.
I wonder if you were aware of the problems that Mr. Lazar and his son had on opening day when you were watching.
Yes, I was. I heard of it after, yeah. And I can only, we apologize, and I don't know what happened. That had to do with a lot of the Secret Service that was on site with the presidential visit, and it was not Ameriflora security, it was their security. I don't know what happened. I mean, other than hearing after the fact.
What did they tell you happened?
That he was questioned and that he was not allowed to sit where he was going to sit and so on. We asked for explanations of that and didn't get them. But beyond that, I have no input into the incident other than clearly it was an incident and it was regrettable.
Why do you suppose they put Mr. Lazar's... Wait till the bus. Yeah, that's pretty loud.
In other words, the Secret Service said it was a secret.
They don't tell you much. I mean...
Did they ever tell you why they picked Mr. Lazar and his son out of all those people to drag away?
No, and I don't know whether they had some history with Mr. Lazar. I can't explain why. We have no explanation, and we were never given one.
I wondered if that had something to do with their decision to leave the exhibit, earlier than they'd originally planned.
I don't know. Perhaps it did, but the Native Americans also had a fair bit of discussions, negotiations, and heated debate among themselves as to who was going to be here. It wasn't simply Ameriflora negotiating with the Native Americans. There were a lot of different groups that had different views on it, and it got controversial among those groups as well. There have been groups that have expressed all kinds of opinions of Columbus and that whole discovery. And at that point, I think it was probably fairly topical. What we did when we set up the event here, our theme line was always America's Celebration of Discovery, and we tried to broaden the theme. There's nothing in the park that pays tribute to Columbus himself.
Well, the title of the whole motto of the thing is the celebration of the discovery of what?
Exactly. That's why NASA's here.
Of what?
Just discovery. Just discovery.
500 years of discovery?
Yeah.
What happened 500 years ago?
Well, 1992 happened to be the year. It's the quin-centennial. This is one of the quin-centennial events, and that's why the year 1992.
When you, as a community, on the whole, celebrate 500 years of discovery, what you're saying to me is that I don't count. I'm not important. The contributions of my family, of my ancestors, are inconsequential. They're nothing. You know, that what matters is that Euro-Americans are here, that they discover America. That's the important thing.
We're protesting this thing that is a tribute to a butcher, to a mass murderer, to the first slave trader, and we're protesting the impact it's going to have, or it has had, on the people in this neighborhood. A predominantly African-American neighborhood, a working-class neighborhood in the city of Columbus. That's why we're out here. This is madness, paying tribute, paying homage to a slave trader in this neighborhood. It's outrageous, and then charge you $20 a head to get into this place. This is madness. people who run this thing. That's right. Something amazes me now. I've just been told that this thing is...
This group of protesters, exactly.
Well, I think there are several different groups, but
Right.
some people were...
Well, as far as the Native Americans go, I feel that, they have their right to their opinion and they have a voice, and I agree with the First Amendment. And I believe as long as the protests are peaceful, there's nothing wrong with that. Protests are how things get done.
The economic impact of an event like this is, it's hard to, aside from the legacy, which means the whole city benefits forever with what's left here in the park. The direct economic benefit to the city of Columbus is estimated at some $360 million, of which $133 million is direct income. We've had some 6,000 employees work at this event, aside from many thousands of volunteers. So the economic impact is felt right throughout the whole area. That coupled with the kind of exposure that Columbus got nationally from this event, I think bodes well for ongoing tourism business, if you will. I think the conservatory will remain as a major draw. And as that succeeds, the economic benefits go on year after year. But certainly the hotel, motel, and tourism industries have benefited greatly. They've had one of their best years in basically a recession year, in a tough year.
Did you say anything about Club 92? Can you give us some details about that?
Club 92 was basically set up as a corporate club for companies to have access to the event for their clients and their employees and so on. It was a private facility that disappears at the end of the event. It's one of those buildings that goes as well. Corporations bought memberships in that club, which gave them, I think, certainly access. 4 people could come through the club anytime. Also an on-site facility for entertainment, for meetings. There's a business center that's set up in there and so on. So it was used a lot by Columbus corporations, entertaining and so on during this event.
Yeah, even on a Saturday we saw a steady stream of cars going in there. Lots of people.
Absolutely busy today, I can tell you.
It looked like,
yeah.
How much is the membership?
The memberships were $6,500, and that got you two memberships. Each corporate membership was actually 2 memberships, 2 cards, if you will. Each card got the bear and 3 guests in at any time. So they've been very, very heavily used throughout the event. We put together what I would class as a true exposition entertainment program. That is, from roving street performers, and again, we've had street performers here from England, Australia, Canada, across the U.S. So there's the street performing groups that find our guests on the site wherever they may be. We have a complete amateur non-professional program which has attracted some 90,000 performers in the course of this event. By the time we're done, 90,000 performers will have been through this park, which is just remarkable. Those include a broad cross-section of dance, band, choir, etc. from all over the country, literally. And then we have a professional component, if you will. We have had some 28 major concerts in the park, evenings called Hot Summer Nights concerts. We have had a whole international segment called World Celebration, where we have welcomed groups from Dance Brazil to the Shanghai Rod Puppets and everything in between. So we have really tried to put a very diverse, broad-based program together. Our original promise was to do things in the park that people here had literally not seen before, and that's what we've tried to accomplish. So it ran the whole range from on-site to non-professional to professional to name acts to international.
You're going to have to get rid of that, sir. You're going to have to confiscate that film. You're going to have to burn that film, sir. Absolutely no filming, sir. Okay, that's just fine. No photograph, sir. Thank you. You guys break. You guys break. Want to shake this lady's hand? Okay. I know.
Oh no, what happened to the president?
This is in the worst possible taste. Photograph him, man. I'm gonna shoot her. This is cute. All right, get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. We're out of here. Come on. We're out of here. Get out of here. That is great. She screamed! Good! Lady, that was really good! Yeah! That was great! But you didn't let me finish. Don't ever do that again. Partner up with these guys. She screamed, "Save me! Save me!" Save me! Lady, are you making fun of the way we talk? Save me! Save me! Well, the villain did not want her to be saved. No, he cast an evil magic spell on her.
That's good casting.
The princess immediately fell into a deep trench. Trench! I'm sorry. She forgot who she was. Let me check. Yes. Hey, who are you? It worked! My girl! She raised her arms like a zombie! Very natural. The villain, he ran up to her! And when he got there, he grabbed her by the arms! It's a family show.
This is made to be in a parlor where it's a little more quiet. Plus, by having a wood surface, the sound will carry a lot better. Because, see, the bottom of the box is made with a slight curvature to it. And that helps conduct the sound to the surrounding air. There's a post that runs from the bottom of the box up to the top. It is a sounding board, exactly.
Well, this is a monkey organ festival sponsored by the Musical Box Society International, and our interest is in the preservation of mechanical musical instruments. So we didn't bring regular live monkeys, and we wish we could, but we have a lot of mechanical monkeys around the grounds.
Why aren't there live monkeys?
Because our interest is really in the preservation of the antique musical boxes and mechanical boxes. The live monkeys take a lot of work, and our enthusiasm goes year-round, but not with animals.
I wondered if you had heard about Mr. Lazar and his son and what had happened to them on opening day.
The incident that was told to me by Judy Dahl. The Secret Service guys were probably the ones who took them away, you know. But then they released them when they realized that nothing was, you know. But I think at first that they thought maybe that it was threatening, you know, because of the Indian groups that were protesting. Because on opening day there were some out front protesting, you know, and maybe.
Well, every time I saw Mr. Lazar and his son, they were way behind me. I was at the right of the president.
Yeah, and I really, like I say,
they stopped them like that and took them away.
I have no idea, unless someone had told them something. I really do not know.
Do you know how they felt about that? Or?
They were upset about it. Very, very upset. Well, I would be too if I had not done anything to warrant that.
We were there because it was the opening day of what we considered to be a major atrocity, you know, a major wrong, you know, and we wanted to stand up and say that we didn't like it, you know, that we disagreed with it, that we thought it was wrong, that it was insulting us, that it was just perpetuating the oppression of a race of people. It just perpetuates the denial of the existence of a race of people. Oh, sure, they invited this Indian to come in, you know. They searched this country far and wide to find an Indian to come in there, you know. And the only way they got an Indian to come in there was to pay him a lot of money. They bought him, you know, he sold out, you know, but that's okay, you know. And the night before we protested, you know, we went and prayed in our traditional way, you know, and I said, you know, forgive my relative, you know, because he doesn't know what he's doing to my people, you know. I have no hatred in my heart for him or for anybody else. I just want people to know and to understand, to give them the opportunity to see another side. I think in this country, you hear and learn less about American Indians than you do anywhere else in the world. People in other countries know more about American Indians than the average American does. We're invisible in this country. That's the way they want to keep it.
To go to war and fight for fossil fuel, and then he was in a halcyon haze, throwing up on prime ministers overseas, and now George Herbert Walker Bush is here for a photo opportunity to show that he has a clue. George Herbert Bush does not have a clue. They are raping this land.
downscaled closing ceremony of Ameriflora 92, Columbus Mayor Greg Mashetka thanked the supporters, praised what Ameriflora 92 did for the economy, and with the lowering of the Ameriflora 92 flag, Franklin Park was returned back to the city. The Graham High School Marching Falcons entertained the crowd as the final curtain was closing on the finale ceremonies of Ameriflora 92.
Center of Science and Industry. Their attendance in June and July increased 20% over that same period in 1991. Over 8,000 tour buses traversed my neighborhood, that of my wife and myself, German Village, whereas last year there were 900. Additionally, the hotel-motel occupancy was over 14% for the same time period in 1991, increasing our revenues for the bed tax 20% compared to 1991. Indeed, all the eyes of the world were on Ameriflora and our community this year. And boy, did we show the world a good time.
What's the charge, officer? Fooling around as usual. Alrighty.
We have Planet 3 Columbus Zoos Zone. This one features birds of prey.
I think it's time for me to go home.